Shall we get down to Disness, ladies?
Let's go.
Yes.
All right. So, hello, ladies. Today in Disney news, I didn't really have a lot actually, but one thing that I think is quite interesting and timely, happy Black History Month,
Mhm.
is that they are thinking of putting together a Black Panther television show.
Hey.
So, an episodic tramps through Wakanda. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it. But I'm wondering what will they show? Like what would a show about Wakanda be about? Because, they said that they were not going to recast Chadwick as Black Panther, so I don't know if that means that they're not recasting Black Panther at all, or if they're gonna like move forward in time or backwards in time and play and make another Black Panther, because Black Panther is like a mantle that you put on.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get another T'Challa, but we may get other Black Panthers. And maybe it could be, and these are ideas, don't steal this idea, Disney, but like it could be like separate episodes and of different Black Panthers, like maybe from like show us what the first Black Panther was doing and then show us what like, a century later what was happening. And you know what I mean? Like it would be interesting to see that, I think.
I would like to see that like per season. I could see like, laying the foundation in the first season and maybe staying in the present and then the next season we go back. But I wouldn't want that to happen per episode because I want there to be a story. I want him to get a storyline. I want him to get a fully developed like plot and have it be a real like episodic show. I want it to be a good show.
Yes. It's and I think we should talk about Black Panther and its role in cinema and in the culture. We should probably tackle that as a show, some Disness that we get to. But I'm excited about this show. As we can see, or as we have seen, they're not too bad with the MCU shows when they moved it to TV, because I'm really enjoying WandaVision.
I am also enjoying WandaVision. I'm going to hold off on saying that they can deliver a good show because for me it's about how the show ends and like as much as how consistent it is throughout the seasons, because don't get me started on Game of Thrones.
I was gonna say it sounds like a Game of Thrones fan.
Oh my gosh! Oh my god! I feel like we talk about Game of Thrones every episode.
Game of Thrones and that whack ass ending. I don't want to get into that. But HBO has a track record of making good shows from the beginning and then ending them in the shittiest way possible. And so I just want to make sure that Disney is not also going to do that. We know that they can make a movie, but can they make a show? Don't know yet. WandaVision is very young. WandaVision is very young. It's good, but it's a chillin'.
All right.
I loved the episode. I've been on this ride for the entire time, and I've already known, what was happening. I really, really am excited to see all the horror that's about to go down, because now that we know what's happening on the outside, then it's very clear that Wanda's controlling everything on the inside, and she is probably the person that they're trying to take down. So it's just like...
listen, so spoiler warning for those of you who haven't watched it yet. You should go watch it. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. In this episode, we use the character of Geraldine, who we find out is actually Monica Rambeau. And it started off with her coming back from the blip. Wow. So the only other time we saw what happened when people came back from the blip, we saw a little bit in Ant-Man. I mean, saw a little bit in Endgame. And then we saw it in Spider-Man Far From Home, where the band came back in the middle of the gym while they were playing basketball. But it was played for laughs. What we saw in the beginning of episode 4 was terrifying.
Yeah,
tragic.
I was like, dang, I never even thought of that. Like, people are just popping back wherever they were.
In the middle of wherever. And I mean, these are things that some people have talked about. Like, what if you were on an airplane in the air
when
you disappeared? When you came back, Did you come back in the middle of it? Now, I know some people said that when Hulk did the snap, he was conscious about bring people back safely. Like they say that that's what he did so that nobody would come back like split in an elevator or whatever. But girl, it was terrifying. It was terrifying.
That's like the worst. That's your worst nightmare. You
what
know,
if you were having sex? What if you were having sex?
First of all, whack. That would
suck. You're in the middle.
What if you pop back into your bedroom and you see your spouse
with somebody
having
else,
sex with somebody else? Like you just reincarnate,
it's
and that's
over
the first
for them.
thing you see.
It's over.
Like you couldn't wait 5 years, Mary. You couldn't wait 5 years.
You knew the Avengers were gonna come up with something, but you're gonna move on with Shelley down the street.
But I mean, we know that people came back to like new spouses. I mean, their spouse having a new spouse, children they've never seen, children with other people.
Ooh.
I mean, terrifying. Like watching the people materialize back into themselves was scary.
It took me a minute to realize that that's what was happening. I was like, oh, this is post snap. This is right after Endgame, I guess. That's crazy.
Yes.
Right when that snap happened, basically. So in the middle of Endgame,
before Thanos came and blew up. Tried to blow up everything. Yes. So we see her snap back. We learn that her mother has died.
Yeah.
And then we also learned that Monica is the one who set up SWORD. So this whole time we've been thinking, is SWORD a thing? What's going on? Monica is who they've made. That's amazing. Like this Black woman built this whole situation. Like that's amazing. Then we're introduced to that white guy who I don't think we can trust.
We probably can't.
You don't think we can trust the white guy?
Well, okay. First of all, you know I'm coming back. You know I'm coming in to have a meeting with you. And it's my first day back to work. Why does my badge not work? You could have easily made it so that the badge worked. There's no reason for you to have to come in.
But instead, he was her safe. You're right.
Yes,
you're right. This is weird
because he feels inferior. She would have been the one who inherited that when her mother died, but she was gone, so he took over. And what's the first thing he does? Send her on this whack ass trip.
I mean, but he didn't know that she was going to get sucked into an alternate reality. And he sent the whole squad after her immediately based off the word of some crazy or some FBI agent he's never heard of. You know what I'm saying? He could have just come out there, him by his lonesome. Oh, I see what's going on here. I don't know. I'll run it up the chain. But instead, he came out like guns blazing. He got everybody from everywhere. Like, all right, we about to figure out what this is and get her out of there. I don't think that he's an untrustworthy person. I think that the villain in this show is Wanda.
I think the villain in the show is Wanda. I think that we can have more than one villain.
I think that we often have more than one villain because in most of the Avengers movies, Fury was playing both sides. He's playing a couple sides, a few sides.
He was manipulating these childish ass superheroes, but I don't think he was playing both sides. He was, I had to move y'all like chess pieces because y'all egotistical as fuck and don't want to work together to save the planet. So I'm going to say what I need to say.
He wasn't an agent of Hydra, so he wasn't playing the other side.
Oh no, but I mean in the sense that he was playing people off of each other, that's
him. He's a spy. He's the best spy. That's what spies do.
I'm just saying that in the MCU, it has been clear that leaders, even on the good guy side, aren't always good and clear.
I don't trust this white man.
Having more than one villain, though, I don't think Nick Fury ever qualified as a villain.
Oh, I wouldn't say he qualified as a villain. No, but I'm just saying
it's like having a Loki while also having who else was a villain? While also having a Hela, like in Ragnarok, right?
Right. Those are two different.
So Hela was a big bad.
The villain.
And Loki. You were the whole time. You're like, is he on our side or not? Like, are you with us or not, dude? Like, what's up?
I mean, possibly he's a nuisance, but I don't think he's going to be a major.
This white man? No, but I think we should watch him. I guess what I'm saying is we should watch this white man and see what happens. So her walking up to the force field and it looking like how TVs look when they have like static.
Weird.
Was really, I was like, oh, so it is a television program. Like that kind of like solidified that this is a television program. And then there are episodes of this that we didn't see. Like we've only seen 3. But the way Darcy was talking about it, like, oh, she goes to wash the dishes once an episode. There were other episodes.
Right, because she obviously more than 3. Because she said once an episode, sounds like it's more. It's really exciting, especially when they're making all these ties to like Thor and bringing in all these other characters and things like that, because they brought in, what's her name? Darcy. Right. And it's really interesting to see how all the science is working behind this. Because I mean, in the comic book, they have, they have like basics, like, oh, she manipulates reality, so that's it. But here we get to see like a deep dive and like what that looks like, and that was very cool to see her touch the dome, and for it to be like TV, like it's just like,
and she's emitting like those electromagnetic waves that make that broadcast possible, sound and picture.
Creepy as fuck.
And then had the nerve to change it to color. Had the nerve to change it to color.
Just when she wants to, and edits what the broadcast is like,
in the middle of the show.
Not for her though, but not for her, because she knows what's going on, but she edits it for anybody that might be watching and listening. Like, no, you can't see that. That's behind the scenes shit, and you don't have access. You don't have the badge.
You didn't buy that DVD.
Right, you gotta buy it for the special features. Yeah, no, I mean, the scene where they showed us where the lady cut her hand, and they like the cut that happened, I didn't even realize that cut. Like when I had to go back and watch episode 2, and that cut is definitely there. But episode 1,
I
didn't notice it the first time. I only noticed the other cuts later. I didn't notice that first cut when the lady cut her hand. I did notice that she changed how she reacted. Like she was like scared, and then she was like, "I'm gonna go clean out the blood because that's what you do." But yeah, this whole show it's scary.
Fuck. Yeah.
And Wanda, when Wanda expelled Monica and like pushed her through 3 walls.
Oh yeah.
And out the thing. Like, are you like
through all the walls, bitch? Yeah. Couldn't let her use the door.
I'll be interested to see if she's physically hurt though. I'm wondering if Wanda was like not conscious enough, but like cared enough that she knew that this was a human being, and probably ultimately not somebody there to harm her, if she, took enough care not to cause bodily harm to Monica.
But they are in an actual neighborhood. It's just that like nobody is there except for Wanda and the people that she's captured. Right? Like that's the whole thing, right?
It was weird to me. It was
captured as much as she's creating them in her mind. Like,
no, they're real people,
but they're not in that neighborhood, though. They're not in that neighborhood. They're real people that Wanda has encountered, and she has put them into her TV show simulation.
She's like gathered people. Because like when they're outside, remember he was like looking at the neighborhood, and it looks empty. Like nobody's home. There's no cars. Like nothing is happening there. No lights are on. But there's that dome. So I was just like, okay, so then nobody's there except for people.
But the cops were there because the cops said that there's no such place as Westview, and they're from Eastview. So
they created a copy neighborhood. Oh, so
must have been because they took the highway to Westview. So like Westview exists.
So
she has put this dome over this piece of Westview, but made everyone around not think that
Westview is not an actual place. It's not a place that exists in New Jersey.
It is. There's a sign. There was a sign on the highway.
She made that sign and then put the dome around it.
Not the sign. Not the sign outside the city. The sign on the highway. When Monica was driving to New Jersey, she took an exit to Westview. So Westview exists. She made the cops think it didn't.
But why and how?
I don't know.
How would she have done that from outside? From them being outside.
Saying that she's because she can alter reality in any kind of way.
She knows what's outside though, because remember that's why she got so mad about the beekeeping guy.
And she's trying to keep everything shut down. So it would make sense to not allow police to know where it is. That actually makes sense.
That seems like a lot of mental energy to be expending on top of creating your own alternate reality that you're living in. To like be constantly altering the reality of the police force and literally everybody around that place. Because if you live in the town next to Westview, you know that Westview exists. If you lived in the town next to the town that's next to Westview, that Westview exists.
Let me give you this scenario.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
Let me give you this scenario though. In Beauty and the Beast, in the live action one, the enchantress made it so that the people forgot that they had a whole king prince who was over them for all those years. He had a big man. I mean, he was it's like serfdom and royalty, right? Like they forgot that a prince lived over there. Like I feel like in the realm of magic or whatever electrical magnetic power she has, she could do this.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible because we are talking about fictional characters in a fictional universe where some fictional ass shit has happened. But it does seem like a lot of mental work for somebody who's already doing a lot. You know what I mean? She's doing a lot.
I mean, just imagine how big the break's going to be. Just imagine how big the break is going to be when everything gets too much and she blows up.
Oh, God.
Hello, mutants. Hello, mutants.
Here's hoping, right? Like, I hope I feel like that's where it's going to go, but I don't want to get my hopes up too far, but I do think that's definitely important.
This episode was excellent. I love Jimmy Woo.
I have about Vision. Why does Vision seem to be aware that something is wrong if he is something that she has created?
The Mind Stone.
The Mind Stone is gone. Vision doesn't have the Mind Stone anymore. And especially not that version of Vision, because that version of Vision only exists in Wanda's mind.
Okay, so here's my thought on this. Wanda's powers were activated by the Mind Stone. Vision was activated by the Mind Stone. They share that connection. So I feel like when she's manipulating, because he's dead, like he's gone. Mm-hmm. I feel like when she created him, whatever that's why they were drawn to each other. I think it's because of the Mind Stone connection. I feel like when she created him in his head, he's also a piece of her consciousness. So if he's recognizing, it might be that part of her that's like, what we're doing is really not okay. You know what I mean? Like it's like her inner conscience is Vision. That's how I'm interpreting it.
The nagging voice in her head that's like, hey, are you being a little bit of a sociopath today? A little bit.
Yeah. That's how I was interpreting it. Because the breaks seem to be like, I don't know about this. And I feel like that's just like her inner, like some part of her being like, maybe I need to check on myself. Or, and then also Vision as a entity might still be linked to her in some cosmic way.
Because true love never dies, Ashley. Even if it's between a computer program that was given a personality through a stone and a witch person whose origin is unknown. Kind of.
Okay. Sure.
Never dies.
That's fine. Because it seemed weird to me that he is able to see that there is something not right with these people in this neighborhood, but then also have him be completely under her control. Like she's just like, no, you don't think that. And he's like, you know what? No, I don't.
No, I don't. It's like, you know what, girl, you're right.
She's a lot. She's doing a lot.
A lot.
I mean, look at what happened when she started to have contractions and everything started to blow up.
Girl. Yeah.
I think that's foreshadowing to like a point where she is going to be going through something and everything around her is going to be going haywire, and then the people outside are going to find like a glitch a chink in the force field, and that's when they're able to get in when she's like doing something that she probably shouldn't be doing, like making babies appear out of thin air and things like that.
Oh, you mean the babies that will be fully formed and have powers? Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and then that's when, that whole thing is going to come crashing down. But I wonder if that's not going to be until like the next season that starts happening.
No, this is going too quick.
We got to get to the mutants, Ashley. We need the mutants before the Doctor Strange movie. So we're going to get
at straws with those. I don't think they are going to give y'all these mutants, but I'll be happy if I'm
Ashley,
wrong.
I'm getting my mutants.
I'll be happy
or I'm getting my Fantastic Four.
Okay, awesome. First of all, off top, fuck Fantastic Four, but I will be getting my Storm movie. I will be getting my Storm movie with a beautiful, dark-skinned, gorgeous, tall Amazonian Storm. I will be getting my Aurora. So
I don't. As much as I want it to happen, I don't think it's gonna happen. We might get a Storm movie, but she won't be. She won't
chocolatey.
Be what you want her to be.
Let him try
it. Mother from Pose. What is her name?
Oh my
Elektra.
gosh.
I know Elektra is her name on Pose, but I don't know the actress's actual name. I have a picture of Storm as my lock screen, and the way that she's drawn in that picture, she looks exactly like that actress. And in my heart, I want that so much. I feel like it would be perfect. I feel like she could be Storm. I can see it and I want it, but I feel like I'm not ever going to get that. And it hurts.
I don't think they would pick her, but I do agree that she would make a beautiful and strong Storm. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna pick her. I think they would go younger, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. I'm
very much looking forward to what comes next. I'm very much looking forward to that. But it is Black History Month, as stated at the top of the show. And I think it would be a really good idea for us over the course of this month to showcase Disney shows that had Black characters. I'm going to say it like that because I wouldn't call any of these movies Black movies.
Distinction.
And then for those of you who have Disney Plus, there is a whole section on Disney Plus called Celebrating Black Voices, where you can see a lot of their films, TV shows, documentaries related to African American culture primarily. So I definitely encourage you, if you haven't already, to check that out. But today, our Disness of the day is Princess and the Frog.
Pew, pew.
So first reactions, just your general overall reaction to the movie. Ashley.
So when I first saw it, I liked it. I thought it was cute. I was a little bit older, and so I was really mostly just excited that Disney finally had a Black princess. I had wished for a Black princess for a lot of my youth, and so I was happy that, little Black girls got their Black princess. I appreciated that, and so for that reason, I supported the movie. As I watched it again as more of an adult, I started to notice some things that didn't sit right with me a little.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
For it being the first Black princess, I feel like
Hold on before we get deep. Let's get Niecy's first impressions.
Oh, okay. My first impression. So it came out 3 years after I graduated high school, so I wasn't fucking with Disney or their princesses. I was just like, whatever. These ain't for me. But I watched it because, it's what you do because you Black and they made somebody look like you. So I was like, all right. The first time I saw it, I thought, that was fine. As I rewatched it, also, I found lots of issues, especially with it being their first Black princess. There was lots of, I had some issues with it. So what were your first impressions, Melony? Because I do have the history of it.
Yeah. I, like Ashley, was very excited, and I was older than both of them. Both of you guys when it came out. But I watch every Disney movie that comes out, so I was going to see it regardless. I, like Ashley, was very happy to have a Black princess. I did not like it when I first saw it. I was disappointed on first watching. In subsequent watches, because I watch Disney movies every day, and subsequent watching of it, I found different things about it to enjoy. But I'm curious to hear what over time you actually have like seen as things that didn't sit well with you, because it's probably some of the reasons I didn't like it off jump.
I think a lot of the reasons why Black people had issues with it, we have a lot of those reasons in common, is what I'm trying to say. Goodness, that took a lot to get out. So first, it was the fact that she spent most of the movie as a frog, and I think that we've mentioned that on this show before. It's like, you know, she's the first Black princess, but we didn't get to see her be a Black person for very much of the movie, and that was irksome. I also began to take issue with the way that they portrayed some of the magic that is associated with Black people. Dr. Facilier was very clearly a voodoo man, and it just portrayed it as, and voodoo is a religion, and it's misunderstood, and it's fear-based, and they made it into a purely evil thing. And even just the African masks, which really didn't have anything to do with voodoo, the African masks themselves were like the faces of demons. And it's like, why must everything that is associated with Africa be associated with darkness and evil and just paganism, literal hell? Like, they dragged him to hell at the end of the movie. I appreciated Mama Odie. I feel like she was a little bit mammy-ish, but also she felt relatable to me in some kind of way. I felt like I believed her as a grandma, and I think that's in large part to the incomparable Jennifer Lewis's performance as Mama Odie.
I mean, I definitely agree with you there. To your first point, I was severely disappointed that she spent most of the story as a frog. And Neecie, I think, is going to give us some history of the actual story that came from the Brothers Grimm, and there's other variations of it. But like, why? Like, it's a weird choice that they made. And overall, from a plot perspective, but the thing that bothered me about that too was she was our first Disney princess who was Black. Well, she's the only one who's had a job. Why does she have to have a job? Why? I mean, I get that it was based in the U.S. and it started, set in 1912, but like none of the other princesses work. None of the other princesses go through, like, their hardship is they lost a parent or they were sick or whatever.
And she lost a parent and was poor. Like, poor and lost a parent. Pick a struggle, Disney. Why she gotta have both?
That was my issue. I was like, why she gotta struggle in order to be granted mind you, they all struggle a little bit. I mean, I talked last week about how I love Cinderella because she did all that, but still was a nice person. But like, she was still living in a mansion. You know what I mean? She still had her own house in the attic. The birds and mice and stuff were helping her out. Like, her life was hard because she had people who were rude to her, but she wasn't like starving. She wasn't like up till who knows when just to wake up 5 minutes later to do something for another job. You know what I mean? So it bothered me.
Yeah, she had a rich friend. And she had a rich friend. And it was just like,
it's like she was the side character in her own movie.
Like, what? And then she's Black. She's a Black person. The villain is a Black person. And the man that she marries is like maybe a Black person. Like, I don't know.
He's Black. But the Maldonia is like Morocco. So East. Yes, where it is on the. Anyways, it's like it has East Indian and African influences. Or Middle Eastern and African in reference to
East Indian.
I meant Middle Eastern, Middle Eastern and African influences.
Okay,
see, I'm thinking he's straight up Asian.
He's not. He's Black. Did you see his mama? Did you see his mama at the end of the movie? His mama had curly hair.
She did. He was just light skinned.
Asian people have curly hair.
He had black hair, girl. He was a 4.
Especially Middle Eastern Asian people,
he was a 4B. That's true. But he was a 4B.
You know what? I clocked him as a Black man. I'll just say that. I clocked him as Black.
He's Black.
But also, I appreciated this. A few things that I appreciated. But one of the things I appreciated was that Tiana's parents seemed to love each other, and they work together.
And y'all hearing my son screaming?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Jet, could you stop that, please? Or like move away from my door? Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I want to keep this in. I want to keep this in so bad. I might.
I mean, you can.
I'll let you know.
You can.
But I appreciate that her parents were together. They loved each other, and her father was really like a positive influence in her life. I feel like that's very different from most of the princess stories, and also most of the content that involves Black people. So I thought that was very positive, and that's like bare minimum. The bar is in hell at this point.
It's really not that high. So to your second point about the magic, before we get into Neecie giving us a background on the story itself. So yes, I think Dr. Facilier represented the more horrific sides of voodoo, but that's not all encompassing. And I think that they had the counter of Mama Odie to show that you can have good magic or light magic and versus the dark magic. Because I think Dr. Facilier, Shadow Man, was supposed to represent dark magic. But as far as representation goes, I mean, I don't know how much
Mama Odie
how
really
they
didn't
presented it.
perform any magic though. Like she might have been supposed to be the good representation of voodoo, but she didn't do any magic. Aside from when she beat up the shadow spirits that came after him, she really didn't do anything else. Like everything else was just an inspirational song with some advice for these two frogs that are gonna stay frogs until they learn the lesson they're supposed to learn. I don't know.
Really interesting. Also lost the lesson in that. There was a lesson in the beginning.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. What do you think the lesson of Princess and the Frog was? We know what it was for Naveen. That's the prince. He was materialistic and focused on himself, and he learned how to care about others.
I don't think Tiana had a lesson. Tiana was turned into a frog by accident. It wasn't anything that she did. She was already hardworking. She was already generous. She already cared about people. She was already self-sufficient. Like I guess her lesson was to accept help.
Slow down.
Yeah, her song, the song was really just telling her that like she does have time for love. She does have time for a relationship. She does have time to give to herself and not just be focused on her end goal. Now, do I appreciate this as a lesson? No.
I do not.
Trash. Trash lesson.
That's garbage.
I think that you can work hard and have the life you lead, but sacrifices have to be made. And that's just how life is for Black people. None of us are going to get turned into a frog and get this like week to like live carefree and then realize that, oh, my dreams can be attained, but I also have none of us have this.
I have to relax a little bit. Like what?
Yeah, I can pay the light bill next Tuesday. We're going to be just fine.
For the time period that it was set in, her obstacle, if there was going to be an obstacle for the first Black princess and you're going to set it in the past, it should have been racism. It should have been straight up racism is what
they only put it in there this much. A woman of your stature. Now, when he said her stature, did he mean that she was Black or that she was
a woman?
Or Black and poor? Like, which was it?
That was for white people's comfortability, that they didn't just straight up say, listen, you a Negro and we not giving you no money, Negress.
Somebody came in and outbid you. How did somebody outbid me for something I already gave you my money for? You already said I could have
for it.
Right. How am I outbid? You have my money. You were supposed to drop the contract. What you mean outbid?
No, that's because she's a Black woman, and they didn't mention that racism and sexism. Women couldn't own things in the 1920s.
Women couldn't even open their own bank account until like 1975,
which is wild. Wild. What you mean I can have
insane?
I don't even understand why there had to be a dark magic element to it at all. And if there was going to be a dark magic element to it, it should have been set in the future. The first Disney princess should have been a futuristic one, because set in the past and the obstacle is not just straight up racism.
You Black and they don't like you.
That's dumb.
I'm surprised they showed up to the shop and showed her the place and did anything. I was shocked. I was like, they're gonna give her land?
Right. I would have thought she would have had to go there with Lottie and have Lottie
That's a
buy
big
it.
old restaurant.
You know?
Wait a minute.
Also,
That's a
I'm
big
sorry.
old piece of property.
Now that you brought up Lottie, why did Lottie have her friend struggle? Like, she ain't rich. She can't just buy it. You know what? Let me stop.
All right, so can I tell y'all something?
I don't think Tiana would have accepted.
I got muted in a Facebook group for saying just what Melony just said. I like the admins came down with the hammer on me because I was like, Tiana said she didn't want Lottie's money. Like, period. Because everybody was like, oh no, she was just selfish. She could have kissed Naveen as soon as she heard her friend talking as a frog and like
No.
No,
Tiana was a strong Black woman. She wasn't gonna be like, let me help this white lady help me out real quick. She wasn't gonna do that.
Absolutely not. And they said that Lottie.
Yeah. No, bashing Lottie.
No, Lottie. Bashing Lottie.
Oh, girl.
And I don't rush to the defense of any white woman. Fictional or not. I don't.
They don't need it. Yeah.
But it's like there's enough criticism to be made of Lottie without like making up things that clearly were rebutted in the movie.
I mean, look how much money she gave her just to cook some beignets.
That was a lot. Right. It was all that she needed.
Her daddy was like, listen, why don't you just let me get you your own place? And she was like, no, I want to work for it and earn it myself.
You're right.
That's exactly what happened. Because I mean,
the first 10 minutes of the movie.
She dropped a stack just for her to cook some beignets, and then Tiana was like, "Oh, well, I guess I don't need to work as hard anymore because I got all my money now."
That's facts. She did pay up. Yeah. You know what? So in a way, Lottie did help her. She just gave her something to do. She purchased her
something to do. Yeah, because Tiana wasn't going to take handouts. That is not how she was raised.
Which is nice.
That's not how she was raised, and I appreciate that. But that's true to culture.
That's true to culture. Which is funny because the stereotypes say otherwise. But you know.
The stereotypes do say otherwise, but Black people, we are not here for all the like. We want to know that we did this, especially with our history of slavery and Jim Crow and all of that. To be able to do it on your own,
I don't understand how the stereotype of Black laziness came about when the literal reason we are here is to work. Like, we were brought here as labor, and somehow we have the stereotype of being lazy. How?
That's how they make themselves feel better. It's literally how they make themselves feel better.
There's literally nothing. There's no other explanation other than.
Or you see a Black man chilling and relaxing. Clearly, he did something wrong. Why are you not working, sir? I have 3 jobs.
I am on a 10-minute break. Like, just no reason. Just.
They just want to be in our business. They want to be in our business so bad.
They just want a reason to excuse the abuse. That's what it is. Because it's the same thing they said about immigrants, right? Like, at this point, because that's where we are in this country, where they say like immigrants be stealing jobs, but also they lazy and criminals. It's like, I mean,
how?
If they have all your jobs, when do they have time for the crime?
When we're picking the crops, when we're cleaning the bathrooms, when we're when we're doing all this trash work.
Yes.
When do we have time to pillage and rape your neighborhoods?
Hard labor that you don't want to do because you wouldn't be paid enough. You wouldn't get the benefits that you want. You'd have no health insurance. You'd have nothing. You'd be being paid not enough to live off of. And you'd be complaining. Then you'd be like, oh, unionize. We're going to unionize.
Agreed.
Girl,
I'm not picking these damn potatoes for free no more.
Not the potatoes.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah, so this story is very different from the original.
True. Oh, is that me? Is that okay? Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Okay, yes. So there's actually 2 stories that this comes from. The original fairy tale is a German fairy tale from the 1800s, and it's called The Frog Prince. So basically, this little girl, I'm going to say little girl, she's a princess, and we don't know her age, but I feel like she's young because she has a golden ball, and she's running through a swamp or whatever, and she loses the ball in a lake. The frog pops up. He can talk. He's telling her how he can get her ball if she shows him love and kindness and lets him eat from her plate and sleep on her pillow. That's all she's got to do. And she's like, cool, bet. Like, I'm a child, so like, whatever. So he gets to the ball, and she runs off and forgets completely about this frog. The frog follows her home somehow because he got that GPS. And he got to her castle because she is a princess. And he knocked on her door and he's like, hey, princess, what's up? I thought we had an agreement. And she goes to her father because she's terrified. And her father's like, yo, you got to honor your agreements even to frogs. And she's like, bet. So the frog, stays at her house, eats her food, sleeps on her pillow. And in 3 nights, he becomes a prince and they run off and get married because she showed him kindness. And she honored her promises. And then she got rewarded by getting married. So the original tale is very different, more that, nobody else becomes a frog other than the frog prince. And that's basically it. The moral of the story is basically, keep your word.
Yeah, keep your word.
Yeah. The frog princess.
Which I think that they incorporated into this movie, the keep your word part, because Naveen had originally said that, if they kissed, that he had lots of money and he would help her get the restaurant. And then later on, he realizes that, yes, he actually does want to do what he said he wanted to do and help her build her restaurant. So they kept the part in about keeping your word. Go ahead.
Right. So the frog princess, before you go to that point, the reason why Dr. Facilier, half the reason why he dies or gets dragged down to hell is because he's got all these promises out that he has not paid up on.
Again, if you don't follow through on your word, there punished. Are consequences. Yes. So I think that they kept that part in the movie. So I'll give them credit for keeping that part of the story.
So the bulk of the new adaptation is from The Frog Princess, which is a book that came out in 2003 or something. And basically it has all those components, like the second frog, like this chick basically who happens to be part witch, is wandering around and comes upon a frog that can talk. And, that's when she's trying to have this whole conversation and kiss him and all this stuff and all these shenanigans as far as what she has to do to gather things for her aunt, who is also a witch. It's just it's more complicated, but I mean, basically the end part is the part that they kept where she kisses the frog and ends up turning into a frog and then has to learn her lesson and fall in love as a frog. And then they find out that she could have just re-kissed him the first time and she would have fixed it. It would have just gone back. She had a bracelet or something. It's very complicated. It's the whole book, right? It's a whole thing. Versus the fairy tale original, which was a page of just a story. But yeah, in this story, this princess is also part witch, and her mother's side is where the witch comes from. So the witch, that's where her genes come from. So her mother's sister is also a witch and gave her a bracelet to protect her from bad witchery, from any type of spells or whatever. So when she first kissed the prince, it turned her into a frog because it switched up the spell because she had the reverse thing. So all she had to do was take off the bracelet, kiss him again, and they would have both been turned human. But she didn't know that until the end.
Annoying. How annoying. You know what another movie that has this kind of annoying thing to it? This is a total sidebar. It bothers me that in The Wizard of Oz, Glinda is like, I would have told you, but you wouldn't believe me. You could have still told me. You could have still said something.
Words.
Had me out here fighting with this witch lady for no reason with all I had. Glinda is the real villain in that movie. We can talk about it one day.
She sure is.
I have never
we will.
The original. I've never seen the original.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it.
Oh, you just saw the Wiz?
Interesting fact. Yes, I have seen the Wiz. Interesting fact, though. The mountains that Dorothy sees in Oz, that she has to get over. I live right next to those mountains. They're right behind my house. The Oregon Mountains.
Nice.
Yeah.
How cute.
We've told everybody where we live.
I live in Oz.
Right. That's basically what she said. All right. So this movie almost didn't happen because Disney had shut down its traditional animated arm of the company.
Wait,
so the last movie,
Wizard of Oz or the Princess?
No, Princess Frog. I came back.
Tiana.
All right.
So in 2004, they had put out Home on the Range, which is horrible, and it didn't do that well. And we can talk about that in another show too. Princess and the Frog was when they bought Pixar, because they were just going to use Pixar as their animation arm. They were like, you know what? Perhaps the issue that we have with our movies not doing well is a lack of princess movies. And Pixar had been thinking about putting together a princess. So the Princess Frog is what Pixar was going to turn into a Pixar movie. The Frog Prince is what Disney had been working on when they picked back up the animation. And they combined the two stories together, Disney's and Pixar's, once Disney bought Pixar, and Disney said, no, we're going to have our animation studio again. They brought back the guys who had worked on The Great Mouse Detective, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, to do this film because they knew or they felt that getting back to a princess film is how you recapture the Disney magic. This is also the first movie since Beauty and the Beast where the people who were talking were the people who were singing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I appreciated that. I didn't know that it was the first time since Beauty and the Beast. I thought that Belle had a different voice actress than a singing actress, so that's interesting to know. But I made a mental note to myself as I was rewatching it that the people who were talking were the people who were singing, and that's some Black excellence right there. Like, you don't have to cut nobody else a check to get into the singing booth because I can just step right on over there and we can do this.
So originally, she was going to be called Maddie. They were talked out of that.
A slave name.
Right. They were talked out of that because people were like, it sounds very similar to Mammy. She was going to be called Maddie, be a chambermaid for the LaBousse.
Oh, what the fuck?
I gotta start. They changed it.
That fire was coming.
Man. Oh my goodness. Let them had put out a preview about their first Black princess named Maddie being a chambermaid. They would not have gotten my Black dollars.
And Prince Naveen was originally supposed to be white. Like straight white. And they had some people come in and tell them, don't do that.
Please don't.
Don't do any of that. Change all of it.
Man.
They had some pushback. They pushed back. I know, right? They pushed back on it being set in New Orleans at first because, mind you, when they first started developing it, Katrina happened in 2005. So while they were, putting it all together, Katrina, and they were like, should we put it in New Orleans? New Orleans destroyed. And I'm like, no, I think it's good that they did, so you could see historical New Orleans. I think that I think the city as a character or the city as backdrop was done really well here. They put different elements of New Orleans in it, from the food to the music and all of that. Now, my issue was the music. Mind you, and I think I said this before, I think I've mentioned this before, we don't have the Sherman Brothers anymore, so we're not getting jingly type Disney songs. We're getting these like recording artists back songs. Mind you, 2 songs from this movie were nominated for Grammys. Oscars.
Grammys?
Oscars, not Grammys. Oscars, yeah.
Oscars, yeah, because it's
best original film from a movie. Best original, yeah, best soundtrack. So this and that was the first time since Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
So they call this movie the beginning of Disney's rebirth. So there's a golden age, the bronze age, the whenever Beauty and the Beast and whatever came out. Sorry, that's the golden age. Classic, I meant classic, bronze, golden. So this is Disney's rebirth. Started with this movie, and they've been. I mean, subsequently, we've got Frozen and Brave. No, Brave was Pixar. Tangled, yeah, we got Tangled. Yeah. So they know where their sweet sauce is. It's princesses,
and they're rebooting everything until we can't reboot it anymore.
I
will
think
say,
they slowed down on the reboots. They haven't been doing reboots like they used to. It was like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo, and it was like bam, 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 bam. And
yeah,
they've had. I mean, I think you may feel that way because we didn't get one because of the pandemic. But like Maleficent, the second Maleficent movie should count. Remember, Mulan? It was like Mulan should count. So like they're still doing that because the next one is A Little Mermaid.
Right, and Aladdin came out like 2 or 3 years, not even 2 years ago.
They're definitely in a let's live action everything because we need to want to make this money again. I will say this, as far as the drawing of the movie, New Orleans style was based, like when they were in New Orleans, it was based on the same style that they used in Lady and the Tramp. Oh. And when they did the Bayou, they used the same style as Bambi because the animators thought that those two movies, I guess, demonstrated the specific Disney style. And so to bring back and start re-up the animation studio, they combined those two properties style-wise.
Interesting.
That's neat.
This is also the first movie where the princess, I don't know. Okay. I was talking to someone about this before, and I think we should talk about it on the show. But like all of the princesses seem to have a familiar or a pet. And I don't think because Tiana is a frog, I don't know if she necessarily had a pet. You could talk about the gator, and you could talk about I guess Ray would be her familiar.
Oh, was it Ray? It was Ray.
Ray was a light bug. But like he was his own entity and he wasn't with her all the time to like know her personally. It's not like, so Cinderella had familiars, right? She had her mice. Mm-hmm. Snow White had, I guess Snow White didn't have one.
No, she had like all the animals in the forest.
She had all the animals. Yeah, she had all of the animals. We'll say that. No, you know what? She did. Because in the beginning, they established that she had a relationship with birds. Because she was singing and the birds were with her. So yeah, all of the princesses seem to have, and this is a whole other show that we could do about the familiars or pets, or however you want it, with Disney princesses. And Tiana, I don't know if she had the same kind of relationship.
No, I don't think she
any
did.
entity.
She didn't.
I don't think she did.
She didn't have time for pets. She had 2 jobs.
I think it's because I think it's because she was an animal herself. Like even also, I mean, most Disney characters have their animal sidekick, whether they're a princess or not, right? Except for the ones that are animals. Because even in Brother Bear, like the animal sidekick is it's not a familiar, it's their co-star because two animals. The character is getting turned into an animal, and then they have to have an animal with them that they talk to move the story along.
Right. I mean, I guess Tarzan would be the only exception because he was raised by the animals, so he was their pet.
Aww.
But then he didn't have an elephant. He had the elephant, and he spoke like other monkey, and so he was basically Snow White in the jungle.
You're right. That's true. He was Snow White in the jungle. He was Snow White. I love that. I love that so much.
Did you say the language was other monkey? I just wanted to specify. Is there a specific term?
He spoke to like 3 different types of monkey.
He spoke monkey, regular monkey, other monkey.
I mean, I know gorillas are not monkey, but he spoke gorilla. And then he spoke the one that was doing the swinging, and he spoke elephant somehow.
No, it's funny to me because I'm like,
not doing the swinging.
Like, who taught him? Who taught him animals? Like, okay, so this is how you say this in elephant. And he was like, cool, let me translate that into monkey.
And like, is the implication that gorillas and elephants can communicate with each other? Like they can speak each other's language?
The idea is all the animals can talk. Because like, okay, I noticed this as soon as Tiana became a frog, she was like running, like they were like trying to catch her or something through like a ballroom or something like that. And she ran into the dog that knows her. And the dog was like, Tiana? And she was just like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is wild. So apparently animals just talk to each other. It's in all the Pets movies. They all just kind of have a language.
That's just Disney lore that all animals speak the same language.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. But they did the same thing with Pocahontas. Why could they, like, it took the wind to rush through them real quick, and all of a sudden she could speak English. Girl, no, go away.
She listened to her heart so that she
Go
could
away.
understand.
Go away. No.
Nah, girl, go
No.
away. She listened with her heart. The wind opened her heart valves, which opened her mind.
Because the spiritual talking tree spirit guide told her, listen with her heart so that she could understand the colonizer's language.
It literally
the colonizer's
said,
language.
Listen to your heart and you will understand.
The colonizer's language is deep within your heart. If you really just listen to it,
no,
you already understand the colonizer's language.
Let me just say,
I'm just telling you what Disney's Pocahontas told me. That's just what she told me.
The reason why that I love Pocahontas is because they flat out have the best line in all of film history. These white men are dangerous. And it is accurate. It's like, these white men are dangerous. And that was all he had to say. I was like,
the whole thing, though, these white men are dangerous. Don't trust them.
Don't trust them. But you out here trying to trust what's his name in the MCU, though. Interesting.
Right, what I say, this white man is dangerous. And you're like, no, I think he's okay. He's probably just,
All right. Y'all gonna be using shit I said against me.
Minutes ago.
I have been taught to be skeptical, and that man gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh my goodness.
All right, okay. I think looking at The Princess and the Frog in today's with today's lenses, because what are we, 15 years, 16 years since it came out. I like I said, I didn't like it when it first came out. The music had to grow on me because I wasn't used to it. Was just so secular. It's all secular, Melanie. It was just so it just seemed so like stuff you would hear on the radio as opposed to like my Disney classics. It wasn't bad. It's Randy Newman, right? You can't really, I mean, he's a really good, he's good. Like, I'm not upset with him.
Randy Newman, you know what? I did not know that. And my favorite song from Princess and the Frog is Dr. Facilier's Friends on the Other Side.
Which is the only one that sounds like a Disney song to me. It's the only one that sounds like a Disney song to me.
Now that you say that the music was by Randy Newman, that song has a very Randy Newman cadence and beat to it. It sounds very similar to the Monk theme song. Like just kind of peppy but dark at the same time. And it's like, you talking about some fucked up shit, but I like it. I want to dance.
Yeah. I'm a Hans Zimmer fan myself, but
I mean, we will get to your Hans Zimmer. But I mean, I think that if they do a live action Princess and the Frog, I would be very interested to see how they did that. As long as they give the frogs facial expressions, perhaps it can be okay.
I don't want it. I don't want it because she has to be turned into a frog again for most of the movie, and I just don't want to see that again.
Yeah, what's the point of that? We already got one of those. We're good.
I mean, I want to see another Black princess, I guess, then.
I want to see another Black princess.
I would love a Black princess. I would love it. Can she be an actual princess, maybe not in the United States? We could do something with some culture.
I want her to be I want her to be royalty.
Bing, bang, boom.
Royalty. Like the king is her daddy. She's in line for the throne. That's what I want. I want that. Disney needs to.
I definitely feel you. I definitely feel you. And hopefully we get that. But while we wait, I think it's time for some tea.
Well, let me see what I got on the stove. So, first and foremost, rest in peace, Mama Cicely Tyson. She died at 96. She was just too magical, and she lived a long life. So she
lived a good life. She lived a good life. She's done so much. You know what I mean? She opened doors for people. She did a lot. She did a lot.
Great. She was so great.
That's gonna be best. We lost a lot of people.
A lot of people in January. She's the only one I care about, but still, lots of folks.
Wait, Hank Aaron was kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Agreed. Then Dustin Diamond actually passed away today. He was 44. He was in Saved by the Bell as Screech.
That shocked me. I was like, he's not.
He announced that he had cancer 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago. So
and then they gave him chemo. They gave him chemo, and they were like, "No, it's not going to work," and they moved him right to hospice.
That's crazy. Cancer is one of those things that you don't want to think about, but you gotta get your checks regularly, people.
Please, ladies. I'm gonna speak to ladies first. Check them boobies every time. Check, and if you have a mate, have your mate check those boobies too, because they can feel differences as well. But check your boobies in the shower, when you're laying down, whatever. Make sure you give your mammaries some attention. Men, if you are 40 and above, you should be getting that prostate check. Just do it.
You should also be checking your boobies. Men,
men, you can also check your boobies. That's true.
That's facts. Yeah.
And if you smoke, you should stop. If you smoke cigarettes, you should probably stop doing that.
You gotta stop it.
If you should be putting on sunscreen, because melanoma is not fun.
Even black
That's
people.
For everybody. Everybody should be putting on. Everyone should be wearing it. And if you wear makeup, get the makeup with the SPF in it. Put on a pore minimizer that has SPF in it. There are ways for you to protect yourself. Please
go to the doctor regularly. I know that's easier said than done.
Hard,
healthcare is not great in this country. But if you can go to the doctor, and stay on top of your health.
And if you can't do any of those things, then please eat your vegetables and drink some water, because that's the least you can do.
It's
the least you can do. Drink some water at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, agreed.
Okay, let's talk about some slightly depressing, sad news, but all of you Marilyn Manson fans out there gonna have some issues.
Because there's so many of them. Are there a lot?
There are.
Until this new. Oh no, I gave him up 10 years ago. But go ahead.
So Marilyn Manson has been named.
The Beautiful People was an awesome song, girl. That's a jam. That's a bop.
It's a bop.
The Beautiful People is a bop.
That's a bop. Like, it's a bop.
He got some bops. He's a horrible person. Go ahead.
Terrible. So apparently, Evan Rachel Wood. Rachel Wood, right? Okay, yeah. So she has named him as her abuser. I don't know if anybody has been following her very much, but she has been going around the last 2 years speaking to different types of, different states' governments about keeping all types of legislation in place to protect domestic violence victims. She's been telling this story without mentioning Brian Warner, Marilyn Manson, without mentioning him and without pointing the finger. And I think, all that came crashing down, and she finally did, because people kept, in her the last 6 months, she was actually speaking with the California, separate Congress and stuff like that to get the legislation put in place to protect domestic violence survivors. So ever since that was pretty publicized, people have been tell us who it is. You know how the media is, just disrespectful. So they're trying to map out, based on her timeline, who it was. So she just came out and said it, and is experiencing a lot of support, which I appreciate. I'm really glad she's being more supported than hated, because you know how that could be going. But I think about 15 other women have come out so far against Marilyn Manson.
15?
Including his ex Rose McGowan. She didn't come out to say that he was abusive, but she did say that she was standing behind Evan Rachel Wood, and that, even though he wasn't that abusive with her, it doesn't mean that he is not an abuser. It just means that she was probably too old. Evan Rachel Wood
was young. She was 19.
He was 19 and he was 38. So already smacks of grooming, the things. Okay, so I listened to her explain it to the Congress group, the people that she was speaking to, and the things that she went through, it just sounds so terrifying. So I am just glad that she's been through tons of therapy. This was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? This is a while ago. She's been through tons of therapy. She has a son. She's a single mother, and she's doing decent, but yikes.
Wow, that's sad. I mean, part of me thinks about how so many of these stories we don't hear about, but at the same time we keep hearing so many of these stories. So like, what are we not, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like every week there's another person for us to be disappointed by. And who are we not hearing about because people are scared? Because like, look how long she's waited to say this. But like, how many other people are struggling even today, right now, with these kinds of issues and don't feel confident enough to speak out? And then you have the flip side of that, someone like an Amber Beard. Like, it makes it all difficult. And I want to say that the thing too is like, when it doesn't matter what gender you are. If you are a man or you don't ascribe to either one of the sexes, or you're
non-binary,
if you're non-binary, if you have an issue, speak up. And I know that that's difficult, but like, the sooner you do, the less, I don't know, we can fix the problem earlier, and other people don't have to go through the same thing.
Yeah, I think a lot about, like, when this kind of stuff comes up, I think about Kevin Spacey, mostly because he literally I want to say raped, but I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was either raped or molested a teenager that he was in a movie with at a time.
I think it was molested. He asked him to touch his junk.
Right. So since then, multiple people who knew about that story and like who were like in the small circle around it have disappeared. Like, Kevin Spacey is terrifying because of if you follow that story. Yes,
disappeared.
People have shown up dead in this series, like in his thread of like this story of, him being a person who molests people or rapes people, like that kind of thing. People have disappeared. Terrifying. Yeah. I'll have to dive in deeper, but like, yeah. And so I just think about like, yeah, the people that you don't ever hear about because nobody considers it weird for the time, or people are too scared to speak out about it.
That's crazy.
Very scary. I'm glad somebody's Army Hammer. Thank God for that, right? Because yikes, that dude's
he ate somebody.
Oh, for sure.
He ate somebody.
I'm almost positive.
He ate somebody. He's a cannibal. He's like a straight up. I think he actually did that. I know you mentioned Amber Heard, and I do want to say, like, yes, the difference I think in this situation is that I feel like Evan Rachel Wood's story is very clear that it was grooming. I know you and I have spoken about this because we talk about BDSM all the time, but like, age is a huge factor in that situation. And like, even if she maybe agreed to some things that maybe she wasn't, because BDSM usually it's supposed to involve consent all the time, so constant checking in and everything like that. And sure, that could have been missed. Maybe she didn't know how to say no, but like, in every instance, he clearly abused his power over her in one way or another. And I'm just, it's just really sad. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, did you have more? No. I was wanting to see what other tea you got. Hopefully you got. I want to see what you got.
I mean, it's not happier tea, but it's more tea.
I was hoping for some sweet tea, but I don't think we got any of that.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there is a Black host of the Star Wars web series. Her name is Christina Ariel. And apparently she has faced, you guessed it, bunches of racism, just for being Black and also loving Star Wars. And
yeah, I've read about this. The type of comments she gets on that YouTube is crazy.
It's really tragic. It's not funny, but what it is that it's so familiar that
so familiar. Why?
Absolutely.
Why can't we get into these spaces and be treated equally and fairly? I mean, she's got 2 dings against her. She's a woman. Oh my God. And
she's Black. Can't at all love space war because you're a Black woman. So
you guys don't like that, and we don't like it when you like that kind of stuff. So don't like it anymore.
And the thing is, it's not even just that. These fandoms are so toxic because you look at someone like Megan Thee Stallion, who is 100% an anime girl. She is legit what all those dudes who want a girl who's into their stuff is, but she's a Black woman who makes rap music. So clearly we can't respect her opinion.
She could not at all like anime. She's doing it for clout.
Who likes anime for clout? Who?
Right?
I'm sorry. Who is
Zero
gonna do that?
people.
Nobody.
It takes too much time.
Nobody. It's and money. If you're actually following these mangas on a weekly basis, or you're watching these shows and you have a subscription to Funimation or Crunchyroll, this is not cheap.
Or both, if you're hardcore.
Right. It's not cheap. So, I mean, and you could pirate if you want to, but that still takes time and effort to learn how to pirate so you get the whole so no, nobody is doing that for clout. Nobody is watching anime for clout. That's not a thing.
And like, what clout? What does that get her?
Right. Who's gonna like you? She's worried about y'all. She is not worried about you, Jimmy. She's not. She don't care. If you listen to her music, right? She don't
even
care.
aware that you exist. She does
her
not
knees are insured. She don't care about
whether you like her and whether she's actually into anime or not. Like, why does it concern you though? Like, what are you worried about it for? Like, even if she was doing it for clout, if you don't want to give it to her, don't ignore her. Be like, I don't have anything to say about that. That's all you got to do. Just shut your mouth.
No, they have to have an opinion.
Oh my God.
Always, every time. So yeah, that's kind of what's been happening. But I will say I'm impressed with the Star Wars Twitter account that stood by her and said that we do not stand for bullying and racism. Really excited. They should probably print a couple of newsletters, send that out to all of their fanboys who hate every woman.
Play before every YouTube video. Those words should just flash on the screen like, listen, don't even bring it here, okay?
Because this is not the place or the time. We don't tolerate none of that BS. But because, John Boyega called them to the carpet and said, y'all was trash.
No, he really did.
Y'all were trash. Trash. Throw it in the dumpster. The whole thing.
When he said, they want you to say, it was a really great opportunity and I'm just thankful to have been a part of it. But it's like, no, it was terrible. No. And y'all need to do better.
Yes, that's exactly what he was like. I don't care. And I mean, they did this man dirty, and we could, what? We'll talk about it. We will talk about it as the time comes. Before we jump into Star Wars review, because we are up to episode 6. If you've been following along, ladies, I have a question for you. Our Disney question of the day. So we were talking earlier about Prince Naveen and what his background may have been. My question to you is, if you were a Disney princess, which of the princes would you want?
If I were a Disney princess, which prince would I want?
Okay. Alive or dead?
It doesn't matter. Alive or dead. Doesn't matter.
Cool.
There are princes that died.
Didn't Kocoum die?
Kocoum is not a prince. He was a warrior. But if you want to pick him, you can. He wasn't a prince, but he did die. He's dead.
Okay. You're right. He's not a prince, though. I guess he was like, you're right. It would be John Smith. Gross.
Oh. Or John Ralph from Disney, from Princess Pocahontas too.
Also gross.
Okay. Also not princes.
True. But I'm just like, who would it be for Pocahontas? She was a princess.
So I guess John Rolfe became a prince when he married her.
Married. Like,
I didn't see the second Pocahontas.
I did not see. I think I saw like the first 25 seconds of it and I was like, fuck this shit. Like, what?
Pocahontas 2? Pocahontas 2 was gut-wrenching. Ladies, who do you pick?
I'm so sorry. Okay.
I'm trying to think of the princes. I feel like the default is Naveen. Because he's the only brown one. And so,
okay. Only want the brown one. Okay.
There it is.
I'm a little bit more expansive.
So, Snow White had Adam. No, not Adam. Snow White. What? Who?
You're right. I was just making a joke about the dwarves not being princes.
No. So Snow White, Prince Cinderella had Prince Charming.
Yes.
Sleeping Beauty had Philip. Rapunzel had, I guess you could say, Flynn Rider, because when they got married, he became a prince. Naveen, Eric from Little Mermaid. Eric was a hoe, so he would definitely never be my choice ever.
Honestly, I feel like even if Naveen weren't the only brown one, he's the only one whose issues are like normal enough to look past. He was just broke. You know what I'm saying? He was just broke and trying to get unbroke. But like Eric was a hoe.
He was, but Prince of V was also a hoe. He spent that whole movie hoeing.
Was he hoeing, or was he just thinking about how he used to hoe and now?
I pick Eric.
Eric probably puts it down. I'm not. That's so ridiculous, but he probably does.
Aurora's prince kissed her while she was sleeping. That's creepy.
That's gross.
Like
he was told to, though. He was told to. He didn't do it of his own fruition. He was told, if you kiss her, you will break the spell. So it wasn't like how it is in the original movie, in the original story.
Like, try to shake her though, like just in case. He didn't even try to be like, "Hey, yo, wake up."
You know who's
all right? If that didn't work, okay, here go a kiss on the cheek first. Maybe that'll work. I'm gonna respect your boundaries. He went straight for the mouth.
So I feel like it's a little better than Snow White's prince. Snow White was clearly 14 years old and dead asleep, and we don't know what the kiss was going to do. And he was like, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful. Please lift the casket up so that I can." Like, that's gross. Yes, like that. Like he's gross. Like Snow White's prince is out the count.
Yeah,
Eric. Gross. I think the Beast, Adam, that's his name. The Beast from Beauty and the Beast probably is who I would choose. Not in beast form, but like because he learned a valuable lesson, and we would rule this whole thing. I know that the staff is loyal. Like I enjoy the castle. That library looks lit. I think from a perspective of who learned the most lesson, it was like the most, and he was well read. He was cultured. I would pick Adam.
He was a kidnapper.
He kidnapped her.
He did not kidnap her. Her father stole something, and he was going to get put into, and she switched places. That's what happened.
She was locked in a cage.
For like 5 seconds. Then he gave her her own room.
For days. Listen, it's okay because I also choose Adam. Can I just have both? I'm going to do both. We're going to do both.
You're going to do Adam and Eric.
Yeah, we're going to do both.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes I'm home and sometimes I'm at the
Okay, sometimes you're okay. All right. Yeah, Naveen was a hoe, so I'm going to let that go because who knows if one of those princesses that he was with before pops up and tries to cause some trouble, or like when he was in town before he got turned into a frog. We don't know what he did.
You're right. That's right. You know, go ahead and throw Naveen in on mine as well.
Ma'am, you cannot have a Disney harem.
Why not? First of all,
I don't see why not.
This is Black History Month, and I will take all of my things.
You're right. You can take it all. You can take it. I would also take then Maui because I like demigods.
Okay.
And I would also take Hercules.
He's not a prince, and neither is Hercules.
He's not. No. They're demigods, and it's a rank above prince because I feel like
well, you didn't say Disney man. You didn't say which man would you choose?
I will also take Hades then if we're picking also gods.
Not Hades.
Can you see what
I'll take him too.
I did. What? So if I say Disney men, would that add to your list, or is it still just Naveen? She gonna say that black man from Soul. She gonna say that Barbara from Soul.
Yes, I am. Yes, him.
Yes,
him. The big broad one with the beard.
Yeah.
That's my type.
Delicious looking.
Yeah, that's who I knew she was gonna say if I had said.
But also Don Cheadle.
Look at her pulling into the MCU, ma'am. We are not there.
Yes, and
you just go right over Falcon. You just go like, no, I'm cool. No,
Falcon. I don't find Anthony Mackie attractive. His mouth is off-putting to me. But
he has a weird
mouth. War Machine, is that his?
War Machine.
It's post-accident, like Stark Technologies robot legs and hips action. Like I could take me some of that.
Oh my. This is why our show is explicit.
Oh my goodness. She said I want them robot legs.
Listen, he won't get tired. He ain't gonna catch a cramp. Not that I know anything about that.
He probably got all the moves too. Them hips probably rotate something crazy.
Did you say rotate? What the rotating heads gonna do to you, ma'am?
I can't even with you right now. I'm so through with you right now. I'm absolutely done. At least she's honest though. Tell us how you feel. All right. Okay. That was fun. That was fun. I probably will say I would probably pull Finn from Star Wars would be we're doing live action fellas. I would pull Finn.
I'd probably pull some Loki and also some Thor and also Hulk.
Okay, you cannot have all of the men. You cannot have all of them.
Yes, I can.
Why can't I? If Wolverine can have all the bitches, then I can have all the dicks, ma'am. All of them. It's gonna take a cruise to the MCU.
Mystique did it. Mystique got a baby by everybody.
She really did. Mystique did all up in everything. Also might have been up in a lot of stuff. Black Widow probably done touched a lot of different.
Kind of slithered in there. Like, oh, does that mean you're bad? What?
Yeah, no, she definitely did all that. Okay. Yeah. We rewatched Star Wars Episode 6. So let's talk about it.
First, I need to ask Neecie first. Are you drinking wine out of the bottle with a straw?
Well, I feel attacked and also brought to task. Yes. A jumbo bottle.
Like you grab it so quickly, you grab it and you sip it. It's all the way down here, so I couldn't see what you were holding, and it was just like, is she sipping? What kind of straw is that? It's so long.
It's a super long wine straw. It's specifically for drinking
wine out of the bottle.
From the bottle.
It's been a pandemic, girl. It's a whole panini out here.
Oh, you know what? I gotta give me one of them. You can find them on Amazon. Is that what you?
Yes, you can.
Everything is on Amazon.
It's an entire is it a panorama outside?
It's a whole panorama. Yeah. Why don't you tell the people? Do you know the name of the brand? Because maybe we could get them to send us some.
Oh, yes. This is the highly. This is the barefoot.
They can't see it, baby.
Moscato.
You modeling the bottle of wine.
This is a radio show. Our co-host has forgot that we are not on film.
It's kicking in.
See, that's the drinking wine out of a straw. It will do to you. You forget.
Straight to the head. Straight to the head.
So it's a barefoot Moscato, pink Moscato, and that's the name of the brand. It's $7.56.
I'm familiar with barefoot in there.
I think everybody is familiar with barefoot. Yes,
I'm actually a fan of Yellowtail's red Moscato, pink Moscato. Yellowtail's pink Moscato is actually pretty good.
I do like Yellowtail.
But I was talking about the Moscato. It's too sweet.
No. Do you like a more dry wine?
Yeah, but not so dry as like Chardonnay. I can't drink Chardonnay, but I like nice Pinot Grigio.
Okay, Pinot. All right. Okay.
I can do a nice pear forward Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am. Yes, I can also drink the wine.
I'm mad at you right now. I'm so mad at you right now. I prefer sweet wines personally. But like a sweet red is probably my favorite. But a Moscato gets the job done. They have fruit Moscatos out too, where they mix the fruit flavors with the Moscato, and it's delicious.
Love it, because I love sangria. So
sangria is delicious. So you know who probably needed some wine? Leia, I think. Probably needs some wine.
I feel like she handled all that stress pretty well, to be honest. I would have freaked the fuck out.
It was a lot.
As soon as I found out that motherfucker was my brother, I'd have been like,
I'd have been upset a little bit.
How? Why? We kissed. When did you find out?
No, so the movie starts out with and spoiler alert for people who are unaware. It starts out with Leia and a very refined, mature Luke Skywalker coming to save Han. I think we've talked about it before. I don't particularly like the love stories in any of the trilogies, but I don't think of all the couples that make the least sense, Han and Leia make the least sense to me.
Absolutely.
I agree.
What is the reason? Why? Who is why, girl? Why?
Because he's semi-attractive and she's the only girl.
Because vagina is there. And so she must be.
She would have been better off with Lando. At least she would have got her rocks off.
Listen, first of all, ship it. Love it. I love it. I would love
Leia and Lando would have made some cute baby. Anyways, whatever.
That would have been a hot couple of scenes. You know what? That's not Star Wars. That's my brain.
No, Star Wars couldn't handle that. I'm reading the Lando Calrissian book, but I mean, her and Lando could have been something. So Lando in this movie, I wasn't sure how to feel.
So fine.
He ends up helping them.
Whoops.
What did she say?
I was just talking about how Billy D. Williams is fine. Like, I can see why my, mom and grandmas and all these people were up in a tizzy for Billy D. Williams. I get it.
I do not find him attractive.
You don't?
So Luke has returned to Dagobah to get training from Yoda. And then Yoda's like, BT dubs, Vader's your dad, like for real. Like, I'm going to confirm it. I know he told you and you didn't want to believe him, but he is. And now I'm going to die.
It's like, and peace.
Rude.
How rude.
Absolutely rude. The rudest thing. So here is Luke, who I guess kind of is at the end of his training, because Yoda was like, this is as far as I can train you. Like, this is as much as I can give you for two reasons. One, you still got some issues to work out. And two, you got to deal with this daddy situation. And I'm dying. And I'm done.
It wasn't just I'm dying. It was like, also, peace out. I'm gone. Like, never
right.
All done.
Just disappear.
Join the Force. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's what he did. He became one with the Force.
Like, I've been around long, so.
What I enjoyed about this movie, that I didn't like in the last movie was, I mean, Vader makes these movies. Vader makes this original trilogy. And in this last movie, watching him come to terms with what has happened to bring him to where he is now, where like he was fighting his son and have your mentor then try to turn you against your son when you've already lost so much. Like, his story is tragic. Like, his story is absolutely tragic, which we learn more when we get to the prequels. But, like, his story is very sad. And I really felt for him. When he turns on the Emperor and is like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not about to kill my son. Like, you are attacking my son with this lightning force. I'm not here for it. We about to go to blows. Like, that was a lot.
That was a lot for me. Me too. Like I said, me and my brother, since I've been watching this, he's been like all up my ass trying to figure out like how I feel about it, because it's very important to him. And yeah, he's a Vader fan, and he's been telling me this whole time, Vader's not all the way evil, like, whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I finally watch it, and I'm like, oh, okay. He actually was put through it. One thing I did learn was that they try to catch Jedis early, like when they're very young, so that they experience very little struggle. And when they meet Anakin obviously this is later, or earlier, when they meet him and they keep saying he's too old, he's too old to train. Like, and I was like, what is that all about? And he was like, yeah, because you go through struggles and you have all these like biases in you when you go through struggle, and it affects how you feel, and then it affects, like how you react to others. So if you have all this power and like, if you imagine if Hitler knew how to use the Force, like, be like, ugh.
I do not want to imagine that.
Vader was the only one on either side that actually had feelings and acted on his feelings. The Jedi, if they had feelings, they don't act on them because that's not the Jedi way. And if the Sith have feelings, they are all negative feelings, or it's just like, it's not about feelings, it's just about power. It's not like, emotional, it's cold and calculated. This is how you get to be in control. And Vader is the only one that actually experienced like real intimacy and relationships and conflict and struggle within himself and making difficult decisions in his exo world and inner world. And so of course he's the one. It's him, because he's been on both sides and he listens to his feelings. And nobody else was doing that. And that's what the balance in the Force is. It's recognizing light and dark in yourself and being able to keep them in balance. And you can't have too much one or the other.
Right. And I remember talking about him specifically about that. Like, obviously peace is not balance. Like, peace in the Jedi's viewpoint is not balance either, because that just means everybody is not feeling, not being passionate, not, like, that's the idea, is to not have your feelings matter or affect the things that you do, which makes sense, I guess, sometimes, but other times your emotions are there for real reasons, and they're important. So yeah, I would say that he did in fact restore balance to the universe by allowing himself to have emotions and put himself in
I 100% agree. Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader was the chosen one. Quinjon was correct when he said, "I see something in this child." His metachlorian count was super high. He is the balance that he brought. I mean, he brought balance to the Force, because the Jedi had lost their minds or had stopped using their feeling of the Force, and they allowed the Sith to like take over. So yeah, so I think he came and he did what he was supposed to do. I'm looking forward to I think next we're going to talk about the prequels. I believe we're going to go to 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And for me, when I finished watching episode 6, all I wanted was to know more about this man that just died. I wanted to know Vader's whole story. So I think George Lucas understood that the poetry that he was writing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our discussion about episode 1. I'll tell you right now, I am a prequel fan. I prefer the prequels to the originals. So I'm gonna be fangirling because I've probably seen the prequels more times than is healthy.
I will say that as a complete story. So I'm looking forward to watching the prequels. I like watching it 1 to 6. I like watching it original trilogy and then prequel trilogy. I like watching Machete Order. I like the story. The story is my favorite.
The story is solid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing.
I like the prequels as well. They aren't my favorites, but I like the stories more than anything. Like, I feel like they give more depth to the characters that I'm interested in. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know why people hated it so much, and I hope that we discuss Jar Jar Binks, because I think that's important.
We will definitely be discussing Monsieur Senator Binks. We will talk about Senator Binks. I think it's only fair.
Came up in that world. Yeah.
All right, ladies. I think that is our Disness for the day. I think it's only fair.
Came up in that world. Yeah.
All right, ladies. I think that is our Disness for the day. I want to remind everyone who's listening that you can send us your Disney questions of the day, DQoTDs, to our social media platforms. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Down to Disness. That's DOWN, the number 2, DISNESS. Yes, there it is. Listen, I may have been drinking as well.
We be spelling.
But yeah, so hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. Check out our stories. We are now on Apple Podcasts. So if you are listening from Apple, please send us a review. Send us a note. If you head over to Anchor, you can send us voice notes, which we can play here on the show. Tell us what you like. Please, it's been a great night.
It's fantastic as usual.
You just like talking into that microphone.
She loves that microphone, and we know the reason why we love
We're not going to tell you guys. We're not going to tell you guys why they love this microphone, but anyhow,
Lord.
Ladies, we will see you next week. Same Disney time, same Disney channel.
It's Dixie.
All right.
Bye.
You gotta stay black.
Yeah, stay black.
Stay black. Get out of here.
Oh Lord.